Why do so many people hate Deion Sanders and his son Shedeur Sanders? It's a question that's divided fans, analysts, and even players across the league. Because no matter what they do, win games, inspire kids, or build something from nothing, there's always someone waiting to tear them down. But here's the thing. This hate didn't start with Shedeur. It started with Deion. From the moment Primetime stepped onto the field, he changed everything. The flash, the swagger, the confidence. It wasn't arrogance, it was authenticity. He was unapologetically himself in a world that wasn't ready for it. And while that energy inspired millions, it also rubbed traditionalists the wrong way. Now his son is living in that same shadow, carrying both the gift and the burden of being a Sanders. Every pass Shedeur throws, every chain he wears, every confident word he says gets judged twice as hard. Not because of who he is, but because of who raised him. Still, Shedeur isn't running from that pressure. He's embracing it. He's not just playing to prove himself, he's playing to redefine what confidence looks like in football. And maybe that's what people really can't handle. A new generation that doesn't apologize for greatness. Before Shedeur ever threw a football, Deion Sanders had already rewritten the rules of what it meant to be an athlete. He wasn't just a player, he was a movement. Every time, prime time. Stepped onto the field, he brought more than talent. He brought personality, confidence, and unapologetic pride. He didn't just play football, he performed it. And he made it look effortless. But for as many people as Deion inspired, just as many wanted to see him fail. Why? Because Deion never played by their rules. He wore gold chains when others wore humility. He celebrated touchdowns like art pieces. And he didn't care who it made uncomfortable. For a generation of fans, Deion represented freedom, the idea that you could be excellent and authentic. But for traditionalists, he was too loud, too flashy, too confident. Fast forward to now, and that same energy runs through his son Shedeur. The same confidence, the same charisma, but in a world where the spotlight burns even hotter. And once again, people are split. Some see arrogance, others see legacy. But one thing's for sure, the Sanders name still makes people feel something. Because Deion didn't just raise a quarterback, he raised a mirror, one that reflects how the world reacts to greatness when it refuses to stay quiet. From the moment Shedeur Sanders picked up a football, he was already carrying more than just a name. He was carrying expectations. Before he even set foot on an NFL field, people decided who he was supposed to be. To some, he was the next great quarterback. To others, he was just Deion's kid, a player born with privilege instead of pressure. But truth is, being Deion Sanders' son isn't a free pass. It's a spotlight that never turns off. Every move Shedeur makes is magnified. If he wins, critics say it's because of his father's legacy. If he loses, they call him overhyped. And yet, despite the noise, Shedeur stays calm, composed, focused, and unshaken. That's what separates him. He's grown up watching what it takes to be great, not just the glory, but the grind behind it. What most people don't realize is that Shedeur isn't trying to be his father. He's trying to build his own story. But the world keeps judging him by a last name instead of his play. Still, every throw, every drive, every touchdown is a reminder. He didn't ask for the spotlight, but he's learning how to own it. Because for Shedeur Sanders, greatness isn't inherited. It's earned, one play at a time. The media has always loved Deion Sanders, but it's a love built on drama, not respect. Every headline he's ever created came with a price. For years, reporters called him arrogant, flashy, even selfish. But what they never admitted was that Deion made the game interesting. He gave the media their stories, their sound bites, their ratings, and now they're doing the same thing to his son. Shedeur Sanders is living under the same spotlight, only this time it's magnified by the internet. Every interview he gives, every post he makes, every celebration gets twisted into controversy. When he flashes his watch after a touchdown, it's not seen as confidence, it's labeled cocky. When he talks about believing in himself, it's called entitlement. The same charisma that made fans love primetime now makes critics question Shedeur's humility. But here's the truth. The media doesn't really hate the Sanders family. They need them. Deion and Shedeur draw eyes, clicks, and conversations. The same people who criticize them are the ones profiting off their names. And through it all, Shedeur's learned the biggest lesson his father ever taught him. Don't let the headlines define you. Because at the end of the day, media stories fade. But greatness lasts forever. Draft night was supposed to be Shedeur Sanders' moment. The night he'd step out from his father's shadow and into his own story. But what should have been a celebration turned into confusion. As name after name was called, Shedeur waited. First round, second, third, nothing. Cameras showed his calm face, but behind that composure was disbelief. How could one of the most prepared, polished, and productive college quarterbacks fall this far? Then came the whispers. He's too confident. He'll bring too much media attention. His dad's presence could be a distraction. Suddenly, Shedeur wasn't being judged for his game. He was being judged for his DNA. Reports later revealed that some teams backed off not because of his ability, but because of who his father was. Deion Sanders had turned Jackson State into a phenomenon, and the old guard didn't like it. By the time Cleveland picked Shedeur in the 5th round, the message was clear. This wasn't about football. It was about politics. The NFL has always claimed to value merit, but behind closed doors, image still matters more than truth. And Shedeur, he didn't complain. He just smiled and said, "They'll regret it later." Because that night, Shedeur Sanders didn't fall. He was forged. Cleveland isn't just another NFL stop. It's where careers are tested, built, or broken. For decades, the Browns have been haunted by one question: who's the quarterback of the future? And now, Shedeur Sanders has walked straight into that storm. From the moment he entered the locker room, the energy shifted. Some teammates were curious, others skeptical. A 5th-round pick with a famous last name? Could he really handle the pressure? But what they didn't expect was his focus. Shedeur didn't talk much, he just worked. First in, last out. Watching film, throwing extra passes, earning respect the hard way. Still, the obstacles are real. Cleveland's coaching staff, led by Kevin Stefanski, has been hesitant to give Shedeur meaningful reps, preferring veterans like Dylan Gabriel and Joe Flacco. But even with limited chances, insiders say something's different when Shedeur takes the field. The offense comes alive. His poise, accuracy, and quiet confidence have already caught the eyes of players who've seen it all. Cleveland might be a graveyard for quarterbacks, but for Shedeur Sanders, it's a proving ground. A chance to silence doubters and rewrite a city story. The lights are harsh, the critics louder than ever. But Shedeur, he's right where he belongs, in the chaos, ready to make history. For most rookies, the challenge is learning the playbook. For Shedeur Sanders, it's escaping the shadow of a legend. Every throw, every interview, every sideline glance is compared to his father, Deion "Primetime" Sanders, the man who redefined what confidence looked like in sports. But what people forget is that Shedeur never asked to be his father. He just wants to be himself. The weight of legacy is a strange thing. It gives you a platform, but it also builds invisible walls around you. Every success is expected. Every mistake is magnified. When Shedeur shows confidence, people call it arrogance. When he shows composure, they call it scripted. No matter what he does, someone finds a reason to discredit it. But those who know him, coaches, teammates, even rivals, say there's something different about Shedeur. He doesn't lash out or chase validation. He listens, learns, and keeps showing up. Because he's not chasing fame, He's chasing respect, the kind that can't be handed down, only earned through grit and performance. For Shedeur Sanders, legacy isn't a burden, it's fuel. Every critic, every headline, every doubter just adds weight to the bar he's determined to lift. And sooner or later, the world will have no choice but to recognize the name Sanders, not just as Deion's legacy, but as Shedeur's arrival. No matter what Shedeur Sanders does, the noise never stops. Every week, social media lights up, half of it cheering him on, the other half tearing him apart. Some fans call him the future of the NFL. Others claim he's overhyped, a social media quarterback living off his father's fame. But here's what most people don't realize. Shedeur doesn't read the comments anymore. He's learned that opinions don't win games. Preparation does. Still, the double standard is impossible to ignore. When other young quarterbacks show confidence, it's called leadership. When Shedeur does it, it's cockiness. When he celebrates, it's disrespect. The same behavior that's praised in others is punished in him. And deep down, everyone knows why. The Sanders name carries weight. It challenges the system, forces people to confront their biases, and reminds the old guard that swagger and greatness can coexist. Fans might not agree on Shedeur's personality, but one thing's certain: they watch. Every game he plays, every sideline moment, every quote becomes a headline. Love him or hate him, you can't ignore him. And maybe that's the point. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't trying to be everyone's favorite, he's trying to be unforgettable, the kind of player who turns criticism into fuel and pressure into performance. Every great story has a breaking point, that one moment where talk no longer matters and action does all the speaking. For Shedeur Sanders, that moment is coming. The cameras, the critics, the headlines, they've all painted him as a storyline. But Shedeur isn't chasing a narrative. He's preparing for a breakthrough. Behind closed doors, teammates say he's different lately. The playful smile has turned into quiet determination. He's studying film late into the night, calling plays with precision, pushing every rep like his future depends on it. Because it does. He's no longer trying to prove he belongs. He's trying to show it. Cleveland's fans, exhausted by false hope and endless rebuilds, are desperate for a savior. And whether he realizes it or not, Shedeur has become their symbol. The face of potential redemption. He's not just fighting for a roster spot anymore. He's fighting for belief in himself, in his family name, and in a city that's forgotten how to trust quarterbacks. The noise outside is loud. The pressure inside is louder. But Shedeur Sanders knows one thing for sure. When the opportunity finally comes, there won't be speeches or celebrations. Just silence, focus, and the sound of a name finally earning its place. Every once in a while, a player enters the league who isn't just fighting for wins. He's fighting for understanding. Shedeur Sanders is that player. The critics see the jewelry, the swagger, the confidence. But those who really watch him see something else. The discipline, the focus, the quiet intensity behind the flash. He's not chasing attention. He's chasing something far more elusive: respect. The kind that isn't handed down through fame or family, but earned through resilience. Every throw he makes, every hit he takes, every practice rep he grinds through, it's all building towards something bigger. A future where the conversation finally shifts from who his father is to who he's become. And that's what makes Shedeur different. He doesn't run from the spotlight. He walks straight into it, knowing exactly how bright it burns, because he understands something his critics never will. Greatness doesn't come from comfort. It comes from pressure, from expectation, from the weight of legacy that would crush most people. One day, when Shedeur lifts that trophy, whether it's in Cleveland or somewhere else, people won't just see Deion's son. They'll see a man who refused to be defined by the past and instead built a legend of his own. The story of Shedeur Sanders isn't just about football. It's about identity. It's about a young man trying to write his own story while the world keeps reminding him of someone else's. Every step he takes feels like it's being watched. Every word he says is analyzed, and every throw he makes is compared to a legacy he didn't choose. But instead of running from that legacy, Shedeur is learning how to carry it. He's not chasing fame, he was born into it. What he's chasing is something much harder to earn: authentic respect. The kind that can't be bought with NIL deals or family name recognition. The kind that only comes when you've been doubted, dismissed, and still find a way to rise. Because when the lights fade and the crowd noise dies down, what's left isn't just the scoreboard, it's the story, the grind, the sacrifice, the mental toughness to stand tall when everyone's waiting for you to fall. And that's what separates Shedeur Sanders from every quarterback before him. He's not just playing the game, he's redefining what it means to belong in it. In a league built on pressure and perception, Shedeur represents a new kind of quarterback, one who refuses to shrink for comfort or apologize for confidence. He's not here to be prime-time junior. He's here to be something entirely new, a leader built from legacy but driven by purpose. So the question now isn't whether Shedeur Sanders can handle the pressure. It's whether the league can handle him. What do you think? Will Shedeur silence the critics and finally step into his own spotlight? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if you believe in his rise, and subscribe for more stories from the heart of the game. Because this isn't the end of the Sanders story, it's just the beginning.